Young Turks hit me up to cover the inauguration and talk to Trump supporters. And I interviewed a bunch of people during the inauguration, a bunch of Trump supporters, and all of them were supposedly at Capitol Hill during the riots. And they were saying how it was Antifa that really did it. Literally all of them said this. And they all had their crazy things. So I'm going to play the video and we're going to react to it. We were actually there. We were actually at Capitol Hill.
And have plenty of video evidence that it was not Antifa.
We saw you do this. It's one of the most well-documented terror attacks. They documented themselves. We documented it. Still, they're just like, oh, wasn't us. Gotta be Antifa. So we're just gonna react to this, So at the Capitol riots, the Antifa members were the ones wearing a MAGA hat, but they're wearing it backwards.
Exactly. And you could tell, like, the patriots that I walked arm in arm with, part of my church group, singing the national anthem, and then the people up at the Capitol was a completely different spirit. They were, you could see those type of people. They just had this violence and this Antifa bit about them. So it was a very
not the Antifa bit about them.
They just had something Antifa about them. Yeah, there's just something Antifa about.
You know, violence equals Antifa? Question mark.
On who was at the Capitol. And not all of them were true conservatives.
Actually, none of them are true conservatives.
What do you think should be done about Antifa?
Well, they're getting funded by leftist billionaires. So we need to continue, as a conservative media, we need to continue to lift our voices, pray that they be exposed. And, you know, that's also a part of the swamp that's being drained because they're just a tentacle of the higher powers that want to create chaos.
I was at Capitol Hill. I was at the Ellipse on Capitol Hill on the 6th. I absolutely know, as an eyewitness, that there was Antifa there. They were not at the Ellipse. Almost
what is the Ellipse?
Patriotic Americans came to listen to the president, most specifically spell out how and why this election was fraudulent. It was actually one of his more boring speeches. It was it was like
you know, just inciting a little riot. It's like, what is inciting a little riot?
Wait, this is actually one of the most boring speeches.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he just told people to march on Capitol Hill.
Patriotic Americans came to listen to the president, most specifically spell out how and why this election was fraudulent. It was actually one of his more boring speeches. It was it was like an opening statement in a trial, you know. But and then we were already scheduled to march for Trump. We're going to go to the Capitol, and he wanted us to do so and told us to do so, to have our voices peacefully heard, to encourage congressmen to be courageous, to fulfill their constitutionally prescribed responsibility to examine the legitimacy of the electors that were being presented to them. And there was people ready to do that.
Yeah, ready to do it so peacefully. They did it so peacefully.
Antifa was there. BLM was there. I saw them scurrying around. When we got within 2 blocks of the Capitol...
Wait, can we pause for 1 second? He said Antifa was there, BLM was there. Why would people who were actively and openly protesting against Trump for months, all through the summer, then show up and be like, you know what? Because Trump lost, we're going to riot at the U.S. Capitol.
We're going to riot while they're certifying an election that we won.
I just don't understand that logic. They're like, you know, they protested against Trump for 9 months, but now they showed up at the pro-Trump protest.
And we installed, through a conspiracy, we installed a center-right president that none of us like. Like, did we install Bernie? No. Warren, Buttigieg, AOC. We installed Biden. We're like, Biden. And Kamala Harris. When
all those leftist billionaires being like, you know what's gonna make America just veer to the left? Joe Biden.
Yeah. What's this?
So they get 2 blocks of the Capitol. Suddenly there's black-clad people on the side with bullhorns screaming at us that Pence betrayed you. Pence betrayed Trump, trying to get us riled up, maybe in a hanging mood, you know, and get closer to the Capitol. There's a guy on top of a wall. Come on in and tell Nancy who you voted for. Like, He wasn't like anybody I'd seen down at the Ellipse. And and then I saw guys in body armor with gas masks and riot helmets running around with a little skateboard and looking
the skateboard. He saw guys on skateboards and he's like, must be Antifa.
Must be Antifa.
Down at the Ellipse. And then I saw guys in body armor with gas masks and riot helmets running around with a little skateboard and looking punks scurrying around with walkie-talkies. And I'm like, I didn't see you at the Ellipse either. You know what I mean? So
were you looking?
What's the Ellipse?
Oh, it's the area by the White House where the stage was on the 6th, where the speakers, where the president spoke. When you present security, people who might get unorderly maintain their orderliness, and there was nothing at the Capitol to keep people orderly.
Oh, well, he's right about that.
Do you think Jacob Chansley, aka Jake Angeli, the Viking, do you think he's Antifa?
I think he is a mentally ill fame whore. I didn't just make up that. He goes to anybody's protest where he thinks that his ridiculous outfit will get him on TV. But frankly, he won't eat he won't eat any food if it's not organic. He was protesting against to protect the earth from climate change. He doesn't sound like the guys I've been seeing at Trump rallies for the last 4 years. You know what I mean? I don't.
Except you met him at a previous Trump rally.
I have known other. What's he called? I have known actual real shamans. I don't know if he's a real shaman. The shamans I know aren't really Trump supporters.
So he's not really. You don't buy that he's an actual Trump supporter.
No. You know what I think he might be? I think he might be some sort of libertarian. Not in the party sense, but just in the libertarian bordering on anarchist. You know, I'm for small government. He's probably for almost non-existent government.
Yeah, he's like an ANCAP.
I don't want anyone telling me I can't take my peyote. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's that far out there. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
It was Antifa first, starting all, before we even got there. They were already there, starting all the violence. We still came, even despite what they were doing, and brought a peaceful movement in.
We were just peacefully entering the nation's capital. All the violence was Antifa.
No, because I can't say that entering and breaking and entering, just like we've talked about, is, exactly a peaceful act. But Antifa came to start off the violence and kind of kick it off, and people unfortunately followed suit and kind of ran with that and did things that they shouldn't do.
She literally goes, it was just Antifa who started it, and then people followed suit. So they think it was Antifa that started the violence, and then it was Trump supporters who picked up the violence? Is that the argument?
So they're all of them basically said was that Antifa started the violence.
They're like, people who follow an anti-fascist ideology were like, you know what, we're going to be the people that kick off the authoritarian attempt at a coup. That really tracks.
They were just like, well, there's violence going on. I guess I gotta jump in the violence.
Yeah, I guess it's my place to just hop in.
She admits that the Trump supporters caused violence, but she's like, well, Antifa started it, and we jumped in.
Yeah.
And once the violence started, we just jumped in.
Who is to blame us for joining amidst a coup?
Oh wait, no, this other guy.
I was at the rally, went from church service to a country music concert, lots of joy, dancing. And President Trump, he knew that, I guess Antifa, he had some intel that they were coming, so he waited, he made us wait in the freezing cold. He talked on and on and on and on, and couldn't believe how long he talked.
Just love in the air, and
wait.
Then, Antifa ruined it when everyone tried to enter the Capitol.
The cops moved out of the way, they moved the barriers, you can see the video if you look for it. And the cops waved them through. Who wants to go into the Capitol? If I say, hey, come on, let's go into the Capitol, follow me. You're in a police uniform, who's not gonna go?
Yeah.
His argument, he said Trump knew Antifa was there, so he had to sit out in the cold?
Just to recap, Trump knew Antifa was going to be there, so he had us wait in the cold, and he was late. Mind you, Trump literally lives next door. He literally had to just walk outside from his apartment of the White House. And then on top of that, he kept talking and talking. I couldn't believe how long he talked.
But then the last part is my favorite, where he goes, I mean, if the doors are open in the U.S. Capitol, you're gonna go in. If the police are beckoning you in, it's like, no, that's still a federal crime.
Seinfeld. They're like, he left the doors open to the Capitol. You don't leave the doors open to the Capitol.
I'm done. That's a good Seinfeld. There any more?
There's still time. Like, he's playing chess right now.
He is. There's multiple pieces on this chessboard, and from a few sources, they're saying things have got to play out the way they are playing out right now, in order for the corruption to be exposed the way it has to be exposed. I know that God is the God who plays 500 dimension chess, and there's more to come.
Donald Trump is a genius.
Donald Trump is a genius.
That's what the J stands for.
Yes.
Oh, it's so sad.
I love this theory that Trump is playing 5D chess, and they're like, the corruption will get revealed in the way corruption needs to be revealed. It's like, no, we're not going to just reveal the corruption, because we know about it, but we're not going to just reveal it. We have to reveal it in a specific way, so Joe Biden is arrested during the inauguration.
I get a lot of comments. People are like, why didn't you correct these people? Why didn't you correct these people on things? And my attitude is, do we see how well that works online? When I do that and I correct people and stuff, they just move the goalpost over.
I also don't think people take into account sometimes how surrounded we were on the 6th by Trump supporters. Like, people would be like, well, why didn't you fight back against these ideas? And I'm like, because they would know immediately we weren't with ON, and they would know immediately then that we are surrounded in hostile territory. There's like literally thousands of them to the two of us. Like, that's not the fight you want to pick.
When I interview Trump supporters, if you combat them, they sort of lock up, and then they don't say the crazy things you want. They say some stuff, but if you're very agreeable towards them, then they say a lot more.
Yeah, like they think you're their friend, and they're like, let me get into my crazy for a minute.
Because I feel like there's, on some level, they know half the stuff they're saying is a little bonkers. So I feel like when you are agreeing with them and they feel like they can open up, then suddenly they tell you a lot more.
And the floodgates open.
The floodgates open. They tell you that Obama rigged the election because Obama was a community organizer. And, that's what he did well in Chicago. So because he's a community organizer, he can, but the list goes on and on and on.
Hugo Chavez.
Who
died in 2013.
That's why we need to bring back what's called the fairness in media doctrine. They get to run amok, and it's not even about this is biased, it's right-wing biased, it's left-wing biased. It's just, they're just lying.
When people talk about the right wing being better at branding, and I'm like, to a certain degree, I feel like a lot of conservative media are just more open to being like, this is blatantly a lie. Like, I'm just going to tell you something that is not true at all, to incite your fear, to get you worked up. They get you to fight on this culture war, these cultural issues that are inherently divisive and designed to be divisive, so they don't notice that it's really the rich and these autocratic type people holding all this power, playing the working class against each other.
Pretty much, yeah. And also, and people just don't, they call it the left wing, and I'm like, liberal is not like the left wing, it's not leftist. They're like talk with a real leftist.
Yeah, comparatively to the neoliberal establishment that is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
I'm only happy that Biden is in charge because we just have someone that shows up for work now and doesn't
You don't have to worry about a tweet spree at 3 a.m, being like, okay, is Trump off his meds today?
Or he took too much.
Is he about to
too much Adderall? Yeah. Yeah. He's not live tweeting during Fox and Friends.